Everybody.
Oh, why did we just zoom in all of a sudden?
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Odds Bodkins. You know where that came from?
No, where did that come from?
Have you heard that ever?
No.
I think it's from Peter Pan. Linda will
I
know.
wonder if I can extend the chat to make it bigger. Oh,
Look
I
at
just
you.
made it smaller. There we go. Much better.
Oh,
Can you see that?
Yeah, I can actually.
Okay, cool.
What? I can see.
There we go. All right, sounds good. Welcome, everybody.
When you say everybody, how many people is that?
No one yet.
Two.
2 people now.
That's us. It's you and me.
Yes, I made this one. Oh, crap.
What happened?
I don't think I did the... Dang it, I made the microphone on the webcam and not the microphone that we have in between us.
Hello. Just new.
But that's okay. I'm sure they can hear us. Hi.
Hi, Jeannie.
Let us know if you can hear us.
Jeannie, I sent you an email. You should look at it.
I'm going to test the audio really quick just to make sure.
Okay.
I knew like the second I did that
Right.
like the second we started, I was like, oh crap. Let me see.
Hey, Terry. That's perfect.
I think it sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, cool. I've never actually tried the audio with this webcam. I've always had a microphone connected to it, so I didn't know how good it was.
Is this one I used yesterday?
Yep.
I liked it.
I'm here. I can hear you. Cool. All right. Sounds good. So how's everybody this morning?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing well. Doing
I
well.
was not good earlier
Yeah.
because it was too early.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm.
You needed to wake up a little
Yes.
bit? That makes
I'm
sense.
waking up a little bit.
That definitely makes sense. So I put our title today is Ask the Recovery Center Episode 1, Our Story is Our Resume.
Oh, I like that.
So we can talk about our story.
I like how Cindy Hyman says, "My wreckage is my resume."
Yes, that's what I was trying to think of what that word was,
Yeah.
but I couldn't think of it. But yeah, our wreckage is our resume,
I love that.
which
Yep.
is really nice. It's really awesome.
That's why peer support works.
It is why peer support works. So talk a little bit about peer support, Bill. What exactly is peer support?
Peer support is helping people who have like circumstances that you've had in their journey for recovery. So it's pretty simple stuff. The only requirement of being a peer supporter is that you have to be willing to share your lived experience. And it can be with anything. You know, I was talking to my friend the other day, and she said, I would like to teach the classes that you teach, you know, the certified peer recovery supporter classes. I think that'd be wonderful. And I said, you can't do that. And she said, why? And I said, because you have to have a lived experience with mental illness or a substance use disorder. And she said, I know, and all I have is depression, and everybody has depression. And I said, you know what, actually that works. It turns out that's a qualifying offense. So,
But here's the thing, though, about that is not everybody has depression. A lot of people have sadness. A lot of people have, days where they're feeling down. But actual clinical depression, it's common, but not everybody has.
that's the exact conversation we had.
Yeah.
Exactly. The conversation would know everybody gets sad. Not everybody deals with depression. Depression is a mental illness.
Yes.
So hi, we have 3 people now.
Yeah.
So the bottom line of peer support is when we teach the class, so what is your job as a peer supporter? All your job is to support the peer in their recovery.
Yes.
That's it. Whatever that looks like.
I thought it was really interesting because I'm shadowing a training for the state for peer recovery support because I'm going to be facilitating next month.
That's
so
right.
I'm excited about it. And the interesting thing about that is I'm also in another training for trauma responsive care. And the interlaps are actually a bit surprising.
Yeah.
I go into things with I'm kind of cynical in that way about trauma work because it is, not very well known to society. Not a lot of people are trauma informed. It is definitely getting better as the years go on. A lot more people are becoming trauma informed. A lot more people are getting hip to the times and how much trauma really impacts us as a society and as people. And I was really surprised at how overlapping the kind of toolkits were,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
On like how you help your peer through a certain thing, and how you guide them to the resources that they need. It was all very similar to kind of some of the resources that you can give for trauma work. So
That's a big part of peer support is brokering resources.
yes.
Helping people find whatever they need for whether it's their Maslow's hierarchy stuff, place to live, food to eat, or finding a job,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
And just really being their beacon of hope,
Yep.
right? Being their light at the end of the tunnel, and being somebody that's been through what they've been through, and being able to say, look, I was where you were, and here I am now. So how can we get you to a good place?
Our friend next door says that there's no recovery without hope. But that doesn't mean that the person in recovery has to have hope. Someone has to have that hope for them
Yeah.
until they have their own hope. And that's a big part of peer recovery.
Yeah, I like what you said, that when you were at your lowest of moments and you had no hope, you had somebody carry that hope for you.
Absolutely.
Which I thought was a really great way to put it, because it's true, you know? Sometimes we can't have hope. Sometimes the hope valve index on our bodies is completely run out. We
Yeah.
don't have it. We can't call a plumber. There's nothing we can do to get that hope. So some people have to, come in and hold that hope for us and give us that hope that we may not have, and be that light and be that beacon for us, which is great that we have that opportunity.
The hard part about that is that I didn't know where to look for hope. I got lucky because I had a team of people who was working with me, And part of recovery is taking advantage of the opportunities that you have. So we tell people whenever they get in the door here, that's a huge win.
Yeah.
Because it's so difficult sometimes just to get in the door. And so, you have people here that know what it's like to have hope and not to have hope. And then we're more than happy to carry your hope for you.
Terry says, art is the highest form of hope. I agree, Terry. Art was huge in my healing process. It was a huge part of, what kept me alive, what helped me keep pushing from day to day. Art and writing really is where I kind of found my niche, and where I found the people who would be my hope and who would carry me. Finding peer support through writing was something that has been, monumental to my recovery, definitely, which is why, the Recovery Center is a great resource, because we offer a lot of art classes here,
Yep.
and a lot of people, find them really valuable, and meet a lot of other people in that way, and kind of, find connection.
I love it. Very well said, Terry.
Yes.
Yep.
Great stuff. And the cool thing about peer support, too, is, you have your clinical settings, and a lot of times, for me, it's hard to feel connected to clinicians or to people in, power positions necessarily, because, they can have sympathy for you, but are they really going to be empathetic? Do they really know your story? Can they really connect with you in that way? And a lot of times, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I've heard a lot of people say, I didn't feel comfortable with my, clinician, my mental health specialist, my therapist, my psychiatrist, until they also told me that, they struggled with a mental health diagnosis too. They had a diagnosis as well. And I think that that's really important, that, empathy can go a long way, and it's so much more potent and so much more powerful than sympathy, which is why peer support is great and why it works.
Yep. We were talking about empathy last night, and the conversation turned to empathy without boundaries is very dangerous.
Yes.
And so
Empathy without boundaries is honestly self-sabotage.
Yeah.
For me at least.
Yeah.
For me, it's really self-sabotaging when, I'm so empathetic towards other people, I'm so giving towards other people, but I don't, have strict boundaries in what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's just, I tend to get walked all over.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big problem I have. I just bleed myself thin for people, because I don't set boundaries for myself, and it's important that you do that.
Mm-hmm. Very important. How's your mask there?
Sorry, I'm struggling.
I like that mask.
Thanks. I got it at TJ Maxx.
I love TJ Sachs. I do.
Yeah, so it's really important to, maintain boundaries, to set boundaries, and it's the hardest thing to do. It's so difficult.
Yeah.
But, every day.
I was talking
Challenge.
to Jerry, our art instructor, our artist in residence, yesterday, and he said something about psychic vampires. Have you heard this?
Oh, no.
They're people that suck the energy out of you.
Oh, yes.
And there's some really interesting stuff on YouTube about 3 or 4 minute clips,
Really?
Yeah, and so I started watching these things and identifying people in my life who were just sucking the energy out of me, Not that they're bad people, not that they're bad relationships,
Yeah.
but the way they behave and the things that, they are involved in is sucking the life out of me.
Yeah, and sometimes, people aren't necessarily even, like you said, it's not even, on purpose.
No.
Sometimes it's just they don't understand, and they're operating from a place of trauma or from, a place of their illness where they don't realize that they're doing it. And which is why boundaries are so important, and which is why sticking up for yourself and what you need is so important, because sometimes people just don't know what they're doing, right? Sometimes people have no frame of reference of what's a positive influence in a relationship and what's a negative influence. They're just purely operating from a place of their own experience, and maybe they were never, taught differently growing up, and they're just operating from that place. And so it's important to, as much as you can, vocalize what you're feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
I think it's important, because that's what I've been learning. That's the hardest thing for me, right? Because I grew up in an environment where, everything I did or said was kind of chastised, right? It was a really, toxic environment where every single thing that I said that came out of my mouth was either invalidated or questioned. And so I always felt like I had to, stick up for myself and, stomp my feet and, really, I had to go to bat for myself every time I opened my mouth. And so that kind of made me become really defensive to other people most of my life, and it was something I didn't necessarily realize until I took a look at my life, and I was like, wow, every time somebody gives me an edit or feedback or anything like that, I become extremely defensive, and my body tenses up, and I'm reactive to it because of these patterns that I had growing up. So, that would be my instant response to people, and it wasn't until somebody sat me down and was like, look, you're being really reactive. I don't know why you're being like this. It's important that, we work together. It was actually in one of my classes in college, so it took that long for me to realize it.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was kind of then when my mindset shifted, and I was like, oh, this isn't really normal. This doesn't have to be the way that I have to be. I can calm myself down, and I can become less reactive to these situations, and I can implement boundaries for myself so that I don't react in such a way.
Are you good with boundaries? Because you have to set a lot of boundaries.
I do have to set a lot of boundaries, a lot of different times, especially when we are peer recovery supporters. Boundaries are really, really important because we don't want to overstep, right? We don't want to, give the idea that, we are a clinician, or so. Boundaries are specifically important, but boundaries have always been really, really hard for me because growing up I had a boundaryless upbringing. There really wasn't any set boundaries. My mom and I would talk to each other about anything and everything under the sun, from the time that I was real young. So having no, frame of reference for that, and she really didn't, not to her fault, because, my grandma was the same way with her, but she didn't really know how to implement a boundary in terms of her interpersonal relationships either, so I grew up seeing just a boundaryless void in my life and between others. And I was always taught that family first, right? That you'd always, no matter how much they put you through, or they put you through the ringer, always be there for your family, even if they are bleeding you dry. And so that was something that I took with me, for a really, really long time, until I realized it is okay to carve out your own path. It's okay to be your own person. It's okay to step away from that demographic. And so setting boundaries is really difficult. It's something I've had to learn as an adult. And it's just been a wild experience. But I've learned that, the more you communicate about how you're feeling, once you've obviously calmed down, and being able to effectively express yourself is, extremely important. I think that's part of the reason why I majored in communication.
Yeah.
It's just so I could learn, how to communicate properly in a work environment, obviously, but really on an interpersonal level.
Yeah. Makes sense. It's very important.
Yeah. What about for you? Do you find yourself setting boundaries or being unable to, or having difficulty with?
Well, so Harrison, my son, he's 19. When he was about 12 or 13, he said, "You're the smartest person I know, but you are the stupidest person I know, street smarts wise."
Yeah.
So no, I'm not really good with boundaries. I get taken advantage of sometimes.
Yeah.
By people, and so I'm trying to learn how to do that.
Well, I think with you, not to psychoanalyze you on live television, but
yeah.
I think it's because you have such a kind heart.
Mm-hmm.
You have such a big heart, and you would go to bat for people.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm a similar way as you in that, is that we go to bat for people, and we put our all into these people, and we expect them to kind of do the same, because that's what we would do, right? We expect everybody to have similar intentions as us.
Yeah.
But that's just not the reality of life, unfortunately. And so in doing that, we have a tendency to get taken advantage of, whether it's on purpose or not.
Yeah.
It's just kind of because we do give so much to other people.
Yeah.
And it's hard because, we give our all, and then we're not getting as much deposited back into us.
Yeah.
And so it makes it hard.
Sometimes it's not even like it's those people's fault.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's I let myself get too thin.
Exactly, and it's like you have to implement strict boundaries right away in interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
And romantic relationships. You really have to put your foot down from the jump. But what you and I've noticed like to do is we like to give our all right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it forges a path for that's what's to be expected for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily accurate because a lot of times we don't have that much to give.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning we do because it's exciting and it's awesome and it's fun. But then, after that it gets exhausting because we're not getting that same energy back. And that's not their fault, right? Because we didn't, ease into it and we, gave our all right away. But to take that, to flip it, and to kind of stand up for yourself after that is the most difficult thing to do.
That's the hardest, yeah.
Yeah.
And that tends to hurt relationships too, because all of a sudden you're changing the game on somebody, and they're like, "Well, I didn't do anything," and you're right, you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I kind of set it up incorrectly in the first place.
Yeah, which is difficult because for me, I get really excited about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, yeah, let's go. Let's hang out every day. Let's spend all of our time together. And then I go through my phases and my mood swings and stuff, and I'm like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around anybody. And then they're like, why are you all of a sudden switching up? Like, what's going on? Why are you acting like this? So it's definitely a situation where my relationship now has actually helped me with this a lot because he has his own space, he has his own routine, like he has his own thing going on. So I can't just like hang out with him all the time every day as much as I want to. And so as much as it like is annoying for me because I want us to spend all of our time together, it's good because then I can have my own time and my own alone time and I can learn how to be by myself, and then we can come back together and have our time.
My relationship has helped me because my person needs time for herself, and that was hard for me in the beginning.
Yeah.
But now I get it, and it's really good for me because then I'm able to say, yeah, me too.
Yeah, exactly.
I need some time for myself too, and that doesn't mean I wouldn't rather be with that person, but you got to recharge.
Definitely.
Got to.
Yeah. Because with my situation is, I don't know if it's like this with you, but...
Hang on, wait. I think you and I are kind of like in that our love language is time spent together.
Yeah, quality time.
Yeah, and so I'm with you. Whenever something starts, I'm like all up in your business.
Exactly, because mine are words of affirmation and quality time.
That's me.
But it's funny because that's my love language. That's how I would like love to be received. But how I show love is completely different, right?
Me too.
Because I show love through acts of service and gift giving.
I'm a giver.
Yeah, so the way that I want to receive love is very different than I show love, which I think is really interesting because it's important to look at because I feel like a lot of people look at their love languages in relation to what they need, but they don't look at their love language in relation to what they give and what they do. So I make sure to do that too because it's important to kind of explain that to your significant other. Like, this is how I show you that I appreciate you. Linda says, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I agree with that. But I also don't agree with that because because in my experience with, I guess, logically that makes sense, but with my experience and my trauma and my abandonment issues, absence makes me lose my mind. It really does. So it's hard for me to like reel that back in and be like, okay, they need time, I need time, we need time to recharge. And at the end of the day, yeah, it's a good thing, but in the moment, it's not a good thing for me.
So I agree with you, and I don't know why I remember this, but I got a card 30 years ago, and it said, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and you open it up and it says, my heart's grown fond enough, come back.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and so I agree. It does, a day or two off makes things better. It really does. I noticed that. I like that. But it can get to the extreme.
Yeah, I think it depends on how much absence. I think absence, yes, but too much will make me go insane.
Yeah. Me too.
Greg Fisher, go to Chris's office. Greg to Chris's office.
Uh-oh.
Principal's office.
But yeah, so your love language is
So
quality time, but
yeah.
you like to give people gifts.
Yeah, so I had that conversation with my girlfriend, and we talked about our love languages, and hers is quality time too. But she likes getting stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I'm a good gift giver.
You're a great gift giver.
Yeah. But it was really nice to hear that, what she really needs is just time. Mm-hmm. And that I can do, because that's my thing too.
Yeah, it is your thing, definitely. Because that was one of the first things that I talked with my partner about too, is I was like, take this test, and to see what their love language was. And it was pretty much on par with mine,
mm-hmm.
with my results. Our results were almost exactly.
Wow.
Which was wild. They were off by maybe like a point or two. And so I was like, that's really cool. But now it's funny because the way that we show love is also the same. The way that we want love is the same, but the way that we show love is the same, right? Like his way of showing love is acts of service and gift giving, just like mine is. So it's really funny that we have to kind of like work around that, because we want quality time and we want words of affirmation. We're good at giving each other words of affirmation, but the quality time is really funny because, we do our own things, we have our own lives, whatever. But he'll send me like $10 for, food here and there, or he'll leave a Dunkin' drink at my doorstep,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So it's just really interesting to see, that we are similar in both of those ways. So we kind of have to learn to adapt to each other in that way.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good lesson. The love languages thing is very helpful. It really is. It's like identifying your emotions. They're hard to do sometimes, but once you do, it really helps things out.
Yeah.
It kind of sets you on a good path.
And also learning about your attachment style is really important, especially if you've grown up with experience with, if you had an upbringing that was kind of not very good, or you have trauma, or you have, disattached parents, or things like that. Doing your attachment style will really, really help you understand where you're at and what you kind of need to work on and why you react the way that you do. Because my attachment style, I think, is anxious avoidant attachment style, which means if somebody doesn't show me the same amount of energy consistently all the time, I freak out. I think they're going to leave me, and I start to pull away automatically. I
do that to the point where I'll even look and see what time I'm getting messages from someone.
Exactly.
And if I'm not getting a message that day, when every other day I do, I'm like, what's going on? What did I do? Yeah.
And so it's really interesting to look at your attachment styles and to see how they impact your interpersonal relationships and how they impact you, right? Because a lot of my emotional needs weren't met as a child. So then, in relationships, it was very, with my parents, it was very hot and cold,
Mm-hmm.
Some days they would be there for me and whatever, and then the next day, maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they would have something going on. So it was very, hot and cold with my parental figures, and so...
My parental figures.
And so with that, that carried on over into my relationships, so I have to kind of learn how to work around that and work through it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, our reactions to these kinds of things are reactions from our childhood. The way that, why we react a certain way to our partners can be a direct result of the way that our parents acted towards us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so wild how much it's interconnected,
mm-hmm.
and how much that, our upbringing really comes out when we're in a relationship. I saw a quote one time, it's if you have something that's unresolved, your relationship will bring it out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's so you can work on it.
Right, so in this specific relationship, it's brought out a lot of the, me wanting to consume somebody and spend all my time with them because I don't want them to leave me because I am anxious avoidant.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to make sure that, I'm always okay with how they feel about me. So this relationship has taught me, I need to pull back my reins. I need to trust somebody and believe them when they tell me that, and not just, overcompensate because I'm afraid that they're going to leave.
Yeah, so talk about those styles, because I'm not familiar with the terminology.
Let me look it up, because I know that there's a lot.
Attachment styles, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Attachment styles.
My attachment style is full on octopus. 8 arms wrapped around you.
That's awesome. Yes.
Yep.
So there's secure attachment, ambivalent attachment, avoidant attachment, and disordered attachment. So secure attachment is, you you have a secure, healthy attachment style. You probably had a good upbringing and a good relationship with your parents. Ambivalent attachment. Let me see if it has like little quips of what they are. Okay, so ambivalent attachment characteristics. So as children, may be wary of strangers, become greatly distressed when parents leave, do not appear comforted when parents return. Then as adults, that could mean you're reluctant to become closer to others, you worry that their partner does not love them, and becomes very distraught when relationships end. And you can be a mixture of some of these. So avoidant attachment, as children, is may avoid parents, does not seek much contact or comfort from parents, shows little or no preference for parents over strangers. As adults, that means you may have problems with intimacy, invest little emotion in social and romantic relationships, and unwilling or unable to share thoughts or feelings with others. And I am avoidant because of the last one. It's really difficult for me to say how I'm feeling.
Uh-huh.
And then you have...
But you know what you do really well? You write really well, and you can write down how you're feeling, and then you can share that with somebody.
Yeah, that's what I do a lot, is I write a letter whenever I'm, like, distressed or in, like, if me and my partner are in a disagreement or anything like that, I'll write them a letter, and then I'll read it to them, and it'll be able to explain it a lot better. And then disorganized attachment, this just has children, but there's more than this, actually. Let me look, because I know there's anxious attachment. Oh yeah, so there's secure, anxious, insecure, avoidant, insecure, disorganized, insecure, anxious, avoidant. There's like, you can interweave all of these if you need to. So I would just Google attachment style test and see which one you are.
You know, I was thinking, we played this game last year, you and I did, and it's called We're Not Really Strangers.
Yeah, I bought it.
You did?
Mm-hmm. I liked it so much I bought it. Me and Evan played that together.
Yeah, you did?
Mm-hmm.
How did it go?
It went really well. It was really cool.
I'm thinking I'm going to take it home and I'm going to play it with my girlfriend.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, it's a good way to get you to open up. And
yeah, we learned actually a lot about each other that we didn't already know, which was really cool because, we share a lot of really heavy stuff with one another.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to, like, know little intricacies about a person.
Yeah. And it's cool with two people? It's not hard? Okay.
I like it a lot better because it feels more intimate because you do, like, I think it's, like, 6 cards each round.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn a lot about the other person.
Yeah. It's cool stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check into the attachment style.
Linda said, this is a good conversation with important things to think about. Yes. Name of the game is We're Not Really Strangers. You can buy it online. I think it's like $30.
Yeah, you can buy it from me for $60.
$60.
It's almost your birthday.
It is almost my birthday. What are you going to get me?
Ooh, that's a really good question. How's your portable...
I love it.
Yeah.
Everyone's super jealous of it. Everybody comes in and they're like, where'd you get that? Oh my god!
Pam came into my office and asked where I got it.
And I'm like, I don't really know
I don't
you
either.
got it, but
I don't
you
either.
told me where you got it.
I did.
And then I don't remember where you got it from.
I don't remember.
It was a store I'd never heard of before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe it was 7 Below. I heard that 5 Below now has things that are more than $5.
Yeah, they do. They have $10 things, which I bought for one of the raffles.
You did?
Yeah. I bought, for the raffle, if you want to do all in, I bought noise-canceling headphones for $10.
Oh, I saw those on the list and thought, I want those.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yep, it's really neat, really cool stuff.
You just decided to donate something?
I spent $50 to donate prizes.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you do that?
Because I wanted to.
You can get that money back, right?
Yeah, because I put my name on the list 5 times.
I mean, we can pay you back for that.
No.
That's
it's my donation to the center.
Okay, I like that.
And then my name gets on the board a lot more times, so I'll be able to win some of those things back. So technically I'm buying myself presents.
Oh, wait. So you double dipped?
No, because I donated to the All In, with prizes. So then Martha let me put my name on the board a bunch of times.
Really?
For how much money I donated.
So I
for
can
the
donate
stuff.
prizes and put stuff up
Not
there?
anymore,
Oh.
because the donations have closed.
What if they were really good prizes?
Then maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good way to do it.
But I didn't put my name on there as many times as I could have. I only put my name on there like 3 times because I didn't want to really cheat too much.
Yeah.
So I bought $50 worth of stuff. I put my name on there for $15.
What else did you buy?
I bought a yoga mat. I bought a cute little sleepy set, which comes with an eye mask, a coloring book.
I almost got you an eye
mug.
mask. I found a really good one for
Yeah,
Christmas.
I love
but
eye
you already,
masks.
You already have one. So.
I love eye masks. I never have enough of them.
Really?
Honestly.
I didn't know you wanted more. Okay.
Honestly, I will take as many as I can get. But yeah, there's a bunch of really cool stuff in the All In for Recovery. So, why don't we open the floor to some questions? We have 3 people watching us. Does anybody want to ask any questions of us? Have anything that you are curious about?
Linda asked a question.
She said the name of the game we told her.
I know, but still a question. Jeannie asked a question earlier.
What did she say?
Well, I
Putting
told
in
her
the email?
to check her email, yeah. She said, "Mike, you sent it to me." I said, "I did." Mhm.
So yeah, that's a little bit about Bill and I. I think next week. What do you want to do for next week?
Oh, yeah, so...
Why don't we go? We do our attachment style tests.
Yeah, let's
Come
do
back
that.
next
Yeah.
week and we can talk about attachment styles.
That's a great idea. I like that a
And
lot.
then I can also research, some ways to help
Okay.
based on what your specific attachment style is. And we can kind of go into that.
I would like that.
Yeah, and then we can talk more about boundaries as well.
Yeah, and let's figure out if there's a way that you can ascribe attachment styles to the people you're in relationships with without having to ask them.
Oh, I think that by taking the test and by reading,
You'll see.
I think by reading the attachment styles, I would go and research it a little bit, but I think by reading the attachment styles, you'll be able to really tell.
Yeah.
Like, my friends and I, we did this together, and we both took the attachment style test, and I was like, you're probably going to fall into this category. Because I know her upbringing and things like that, and she did.
Mm-hmm.
She fell into that category, and then another one, and then I fell into anxious avoidant. And so, yeah, you can kind of tell just based upon, what you know about the person, what kind of category they're going to fall into. But I think the most important thing with attachment styles is learning how to work around them and learning what to do for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
yeah.
follow a lot of psychology-based and psychologists and clinical psychiatrists and stuff like that. I follow a lot of them on Instagram. And so a lot of times they'll come up with their little videos and explain attachment styles and what you can do to help.
Mm-hmm.
For me, and because I am anxious avoidant, what I have to do is kind of bite the bullet, and I have to explain how I feel in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I'll do is when I'm feeling something, I don't recognize that feeling is valid because I've been invalidated so much. So automatically I start second guessing myself, and then I start getting doubtful of myself, but then I become resentful for the other person because I don't speak up for myself in the moment because I'm so busy second guessing myself. So what I've learned to do because of that, and that's the avoidant part of anxious attachment,
Okay.
right, is I avoid talking about my feelings, then they bottle up, and then I become resentful.
Okay.
So what I've learned to do is in the moment that I'm feeling something, I have to vocalize it.
Oh, good. So right then.
Yeah, so I'll calm myself down, of course, because if I act off impulse, then that gets, shady, but I'll count to 10.
Shady.
Then I'll count to 10 and I'll be like, what you're feeling is valid. Express it to your partner and maybe that they can help calm you down.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I have to do is kind of vocalize what I'm feeling in the moment and be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling right now, and I want you to know this isn't me trying to start an argument, this is just me telling you how I feel.
Yeah.
This is not me attacking you or saying that you're doing anything wrong, it's just me expressing how I feel.
Right.
Can we talk this out?
Yeah.
And it's been the hardest thing for me to do because if they come back with something invalidating or something, derogatory or inflammatory or something like that, I'll instantly shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And it will really, really trigger my response. So that's why I always have to preface it with, I'm not trying to start an argument, I'm just trying to express how I feel. This thing that you did really upset me.
Right.
Or, I feel this way as a result of this thing.
And I think if you approach something like that, it's really, it should be very freeing because your emotions, your feelings are not wrong.
Right.
They're not right or wrong.
They just are.
Yeah, they just are, and you don't control them. So sharing what they are should, in theory, lead to some really productive conversation.
Yeah, like with my partner, he gets upset when I mention my ex-boyfriends,
Mm-hmm.
which I hadn't originally known, but he's felt that way, like, basically our entire relationship. And my exes have been, like, a huge part of my life. So when we sat down and we had this big conversation about, everything that's been going on and what we're feeling about our relationship and just, doing, like, a word vomit, kind of get everything out on the table, that was one of the things that he brought up that I didn't originally know, but it had been bothering him for a while. So I'm like, okay, that's valid, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I will work on it, and I will try to do my best not to mention them anymore.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that that really helps get the conversation going.
Can you read that?
Linda said, I've never thought of the love language thing, so I'm going to figure out what mine is. Yes, it's really important to figure out your attachment style and your love language. Those things are really important, and they've helped me a lot in my healing as well, to know what I need from a relationship and what I need from my partner. A lot of times we expect our partners to know what we need because we've been with them for so long or because we think we're making it really clear. A lot of times that's not true. A lot of times they don't even know that you're feeling a certain way until you bring it up, like with the whole situation with Evan. I didn't know that he had a problem with me talking about my exes until he brought it up, and he was really, like, upset about it, and I was like, whoa, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So after he brought it up, I made sure to be like, okay, cool, if that makes you feel a certain type of way, I will stop doing it.
Yeah.
And it's really important to have these kind of conversations in person.
No kidding.
Because although I'm a really, really good writer, the way that I sometimes come off on text message, it's hard to interpret, right? Like when you can't read body, you can't read,
Yeah, if I don't have the nonverbal cues, I'm terrible at communication.
Yeah, like you can't read their nonverbal communications, you can't read, how they're saying their words, how they're enunciating, things like that. And so it's always, always important to have conversations over or in person and not over text message.
Yeah. And that helps your communication style too.
Yeah.
Because every conversation you have face to face makes it easier to have the next one.
Exactly. And every time, I vocalize an issue that I have and, and my partner validates it or we talk about it, it takes less of a burden off my shoulders.
Absolutely.
So I don't have to harbor so much resentment.
Yep.
And because it's been the most difficult thing and journey for me to be able to do something like this, but it's been so much more rewarding being able to do it. I mean, it's exhausting, stepping out of your comfort zone and potentially being re-traumatized, but, at the end of the day, a lot of times I think that it's going to lead to me being re-traumatized, and it does not. It really just leads to me becoming validated and getting more experience on how to communicate.
Yeah. So with the love languages, Linda, when you look at them, you want to look at two things. You want to see how you receive love and how you give love.
Yeah.
And how you receive love is the things that are done for you or to you or around you that make you feel loved. And how you give love is obviously how you show it to other people. And those conversations are super empowering.
Yeah, and they're honestly so cool because, like, say, Linda, you and your husband sit down and you take this love language test and you realize that, his love language is quality time and he just wants to spend time with you. But your love language is maybe, you like getting gifts or something like that. And then you realize...
We know Linda loves giving gifts.
Exactly. And then you realize that you love giving gifts and quality time isn't as important to you. So then you can make sure with your husband you guys can sit down and go with an action plan like, okay, yeah, let's spend more time together. And so you'll really get a good indication of, like, where you guys both are at and how you feel loved.
Yeah. Yep. Linda said, that's so true. I expect my husband to know, and half the time he doesn't.
Yeah.
And the really salient part of that message, the important part is I expect. Mm-hmm. And so if you set the parameters for those expectations, it leads to a much healthier relationship.
Yeah, for sure. And just being vocal, I think, is what I've learned the most, because in my last relationship, it was really hard for my last partner to vocalize what he was feeling and how he was feeling, and in the moment, what was going on in his head. And so it ultimately led to the demise of our relationship because I was very over-vocal and he was very under-vocal. So it's really, really important to be able to have those conversations, and if that's something that's important to you, stand up for what's important to you. Very important.
Absolutely. Yep. So we're going to do attachment styles next time.
Yeah, we're going to do attachment styles next time, and we'll go over what they mean, and we can talk more about relationships then, and how, our experience dealing with mental health impacts our relationships.
Mm-hmm. Sounds very good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for Ask BRC. We're excited to be back.
Yay!
Come join us next time, same place.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.